Dominate your niche. Build a name. Own your style. Rule your space. Introduction. Can I ask you something? And I want you to answer honestly, not to me, but to yourself. Are you tired of showing up only to be ignored? Tired of creating, posting, and building and feeling like you're whispering into a void? You're confident in your skills. You recognize it. The people who know you recognize it. But what about the world, the market, and the audience you're trying to reach? They are unaware that you exist. That changes today. This isn't a motivational pep talk. It's not a cheerleading session full of buzzwords. It's a playbook, a blueprint, a field manual for the person who is tired of being invisible and ready to become undeniable. Whether you're a creative professional, entrepreneur, coach, consultant, freelancer, or brand builder, this book was written for the exact moment you're in right now. The moment when good enough no longer suffices. The moment you're ready to stop blending in and start owning your space. Here's what nobody tells you when you enter the arena. Talent is expected. Skill is the entry fee. What sets you apart, what makes you profitable, visible, and respected is your ability to dominate your niche. Domination isn't about arrogance. It doesn't mean shouting the loudest or winning a popularity contest. It signifies ownership, alignment, and intentional action. It means presenting yourself so clearly, consistently, and confidently that others understand exactly who you are, what you do, and why they need you. It means creating a brand and presence that attract the right audience and gently push away the wrong one. Over the next 60 minutes, we will cover 8 chapters that will change the way you think about your work, your brand, and your role in the market. We begin with your strongest asset, clarity. Clarity is power. Define your niche DNA. Clarity isn't just a bonus, it's the foundation of everything. Without clarity, your content becomes inconsistent. Your audience gets confused. Your offers fail to convert. You're doing a lot but gaining very little traction. The reason? No one, including you, can clearly articulate what you're known for. Let's take care of that now. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people overlook. Being broad doesn't make you significant, it makes you dull. Think about what happens when you try to appeal to everyone. Your messaging becomes vague, your style inconsistent, and your offers scatter in all directions. You end up attracting people who don't value your work, confusing your audience, and making it seem like you compete on price rather than emphasizing value. And in the end, you burn out trying to satisfy everyone and end up connecting with no one. Here's your first assignment. Grab a pen or hold this thought. I want you to complete the following sentence. That level of detail provides clarity for your audience. More importantly, it gives you clarity as well. A niche isn't a prison, it's a magnet. It doesn't confine you, it draws the right people to you with clarity and conviction. The 3P niche formula. The quickest way to define a strong niche involves 3 elements: passion, people, and proof. Passion. What could you talk about for hours without getting bored? What problem do you love solving? What topic excites you, even when you're exhausted? People, who do you want to serve? Who already gravitates toward you? And just as importantly, who do you not want to work with? Your niche should feel like a conversation with someone you genuinely want to help. Proof. What makes you qualified to serve them? Here's the secret. You don't need a degree or years of experience. You need to be one step ahead of your ideal client. You've been where they are and learned something. That's enough. When those 3 circles overlap, that's your niche core. That's where you develop. Apple started with computers. Nike started with running shoes. You start with your niche and grow from there. Here's what you should remember from this chapter. You can't control what you haven't clarified yet. Define it. Own it. Say it aloud. Let it guide you. Let others stay vague. Let others try to be everything to everyone. As for you, you're creating something with sharp edges and deep roots. It starts here, with clarity. Build a magnetic brand that reflects your truth. If clarity is the engine, branding is the vehicle. You can have the sharpest niche in the world, but if your brand doesn't reflect it visually, emotionally, or verbally, people won't remember you long enough to engage. Here's something most people misunderstand. A logo isn't a brand. A color palette isn't a brand. A sleek website isn't a brand either. Those are brand assets. But what about the brand itself? Your brand is the emotional experience people have when they interact with you or your work. It's the words they associate with your name, the feeling they get, and the reason they tell others about you. Jeff Bezos put it best. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. The question isn't whether you have a brand. You already do. The real question is, are you shaping it intentionally or accidentally? The 5 elements of brand essence. Before designing a single graphic or writing a caption, you need to build your brand from the inside out. 5 elements make up what I call your brand essence. First, your core values. What principles guide everything you do? Integrity, creativity, freedom, compassion, and simplicity. Choose your top 3, then explain how you embody each through your work. Second, your brand mission. What are you here to do? What impact are you trying to make? Your mission statement should make your audience feel seen and supported in one sentence. Third, your brand voice. How do you sound when you communicate? Bold, nurturing, playful, analytical? Choose 3 adjectives that describe your ideal voice, then ask, does this feel like me? Fourth, your brand personality. If your brand were a person walking into a room, how would they behave? What energy would they project? Are they grounded and warm, loud and opinionated, or dreamy and mystical? Don't adopt a personality just because you think it's expected. Embody the one you genuinely enjoy. And fifth, your emotional goal. How do you want people to feel when they encounter your brand? Inspired, safe, empowered, energized? That emotion is your anchor. Use it to evaluate everything you create. Here's the deeper truth. Your brand should feel like slipping into your favorite clothes. Natural, confident, comfortable. I recommend you spend time in your brand. If your brand feels like a costume, if you're forcing colors, language, or energy that don't feel authentic to you, your audience will notice. At its core, your brand is a promise. It says, this is how you'll feel when you enter my world. This is what I care about. This is what I'll help you achieve. When done well, your brand instantly earns trust because people know what to expect. That consistency fosters loyalty. Let others follow trends. You're creating a compelling, aligned brand people trust. That's how you dominate your niche. Claim your creative identity. Own your style like a pro. Here's where most people get stuck. You've done the niche work. You've started building your brand. Now the questions begin to creep in. What sets me apart? Do I really have a distinctive style? Isn't someone already doing this better than I do? Let me stop you right there because this is the pivotal moment. You either keep adjusting your voice to fit in or you step fully into your creative identity so people can't help but recognize you. Imitation slowly kills your voice and weakens your power. People can detect inauthenticity from a mile away. The algorithm doesn't reward copies, and the market doesn't pay for dull imitations. Your creative identity isn't something you invent. It's something you discover and refine. You already have a unique voice. You have style preferences, opinions, and ways of seeing the world that are uniquely yours. This chapter is about asserting and never apologizing for it. Your creative DNA. Your style is shaped by years of experience, taste, curiosity, and intuition. To claim it fully, you need to examine it. Reflect on the content I produce that consistently engages people. Consider the phrases or themes I repeat often. Think about my creative influences. What do I admire about their tone, approach, and energy? And here's a strong one. What do I dislike seeing in my industry? Sometimes your identity is shaped by rebellion. If you dislike fake vulnerability, let that influence your style. If you dislike hustle culture marketing, let that define your stance. Your creative signature should stand out in 5 areas: your language, your visual aesthetic, your rhythm and format, your creative boundaries, and your perspective. Let's discuss that final point, your perspective, because that's what distinguishes a creator from an authority figure. What do you strongly believe that challenges the norm? What issues are you passionate about solving? What truth do you feel compelled to repeat again and again, even when no one is listening? Write your brand beliefs manifesto, 5 to 10 brief statements that express your values and worldview. Here's what it might sound like. I believe creators shouldn't have to burn out to earn a living. I believe vulnerability isn't just a strategy, it's a core value. I believe quiet voices can still make bold statements. Share this manifesto. Distribute it. Pin it. Speak it aloud. It becomes your creative foundation. And here's the not-so-glamorous secret behind every recognizable brand in the world. They consistently present the same identity again and again. Not because they're boring, but because they're intentional. Consistency fosters trust. Repetition reinforces memory. Style becomes recognizable through frequency. You don't have to reinvent yourself. You need to refine yourself. The world doesn't need another copy of the same. It needs a confident, independent version of you. Claim your creative identity, embrace your style, and craft something so unique it becomes your signature. Content that converts, be seen, heard, and trusted. You've carved out your niche, established a brand, and embraced your creative identity. Now it's time to share it with the world intentionally, strategically, and confidently. But let's be honest, content creation can feel overwhelming, exhausting, and even pointless. You've probably wondered, why am I not getting engagement? How do I convert followers into paying clients? Is all this effort even making a difference? If you've been showing up but aren't gaining traction, the issue isn't you. It's your content strategy, or more exactly, the absence of one. Here's the first adjustment you should make. Don't post to stay visible, post to be valuable. Every piece of content you create should reinforce who you help, the problem you solve, your unique method, why people should trust you, and how they can go deeper with you. When done right, your content becomes a living resume, a trust builder, and a sales funnel all in one. The content pyramid. Let me share a simple structure that removes the guesswork about what to create. Layer 1. Teach. Position yourself as a guide. Teach a micro concept, a how-to, or a tip. Doing so builds credibility and provides immediate value. Layer 2. Tell. Share your story. Open up about your journey, mistakes, and lessons. This builds connection and relatability. Layer 3. Inspire. Motivate your audience. Address beliefs, desires, and fears. This fosters emotional loyalty. Layer 4. Invite. Provide a clear call to action and explain what people should do next. This helps build momentum and increase conversions. Most content creators live in layers 1 and 3. They teach and inspire but never invite. Then they wonder why no one takes action. The invitation isn't pushy. It's a gift that says, I see you, I know what you need, and here's the door. The 3E framework. To generate ideas, use what I call the 3E framework. Educate, empathize, and empower. Educate, provide value. Break large concepts into manageable steps. Celebrate small wins. Here's how to create a brand voice that sounds like you. Empathize. Share stories that say, I see you. I've been there. You're not alone. If you feel like no one's listening, this is for you. Empower, challenge, and elevate. Instill confidence in people to act. You don't need 10,000 followers to make a real impact. Here's what I want you to understand about content and trust. People don't buy from the loudest voice. They buy from the clearest, most consistent voice. They follow people who help them solve problems, change their thinking, or make better decisions. You don't have to go viral to be valuable. You don't need to be loud to earn trust. Instead, focus on clarity, consistency, and connection. That's how content converts. That's how you dominate your space. Platforms with purpose. Pick, grow, and own your space. Let me explain the trap. You're expected to be active on Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Pinterest, Twitter, Threads, Facebook groups, podcasts, Medium, and a blog, and to send out a weekly newsletter. You try, you post, you burn out, yet nothing grows. Because you're everywhere, yet unknown anywhere. Visibility without purpose creates noise. Authority, paired with clarity, builds trust. You don't have to dominate every platform. Focus on one or two spaces and own your lane. Your main platform is where you go deep. It's your flagship presence where people get to know, trust, and remember you over time. If you're a visual storyteller, Instagram or TikTok could be your space. If you're a deep thinker, a newsletter or LinkedIn offers you room to breathe. If you're a speaker and teacher, YouTube or a podcast gives your voice a platform. But here's the question most people overlook. Where have you already seen traction? Even if it's small, where do people respond, even occasionally? That's a signal. That's the beginning of your platform power. Own your audience. Build your email list. Social media is a rented space. Platforms can change their algorithms overnight. They can throttle your reach, suspend your account, or even vanish. But your email list? That's yours. You own it. You control it. It gives you direct access to your audience without filters or gatekeepers. An email subscriber is worth 10 times more than a social follower. Not because they're more important as a person, but because they chose to let you into their inbox. That's intimacy. That's trust. Start building your list today. Create a simple freebie, a checklist, a guide, or a mini audio lesson. Promote it regularly. Write to your list as if you're speaking to a friend. The content flywheel. Once you have a solid platform, there's no need to reinvent the wheel for each additional channel. You can repurpose what already works. Here's how the flywheel works. Start with one key idea each week. Write a newsletter or a long-form post. Turn it into 2 Instagram captions. Record a 60-second video summarizing the main points. Pull a quote for LinkedIn. Expand the story into a podcast episode. One idea, 5 touch points, 1 effort, multiple platforms. Remember this. Set healthy boundaries for your platforms. Create before you consume. Post, then close the app. Engage later, on purpose. Track your impact, the DMs you receive, the signups, the referrals, not just the likes. You're building a business, not an entertainment channel. You don't have to be everywhere. You need to stand out somewhere. Turn presence into profit-aligned monetization. You've put in the effort. You've clarified your niche. You've created content that converts. You've built a digital presence people want to explore. Now, here's the question you might be avoiding. How can I make money from this without feeling inauthentic, pushy, or off-brand? Let's clear something up right away. Selling is not manipulation. Selling is a service. If you've created a transformation for yourself or others, whether you've developed tools, systems, or frameworks that help people, you have every right to monetize. And honestly, you should. A niche that doesn't generate revenue becomes a burden. A brand that doesn't earn income becomes a drain. And your impact will always be limited if your energy is tied up in survival mode. Reflect on the things you've bought that made a difference for you. A book that helped you heal, a course that brought you clarity, a coaching session that shifted your direction. None of these were just purchases, they were investments. I feel better, doing better, and becoming better. That's what your offer should be. The offer ladder. The key to sustainable income is a layered offer ladder, a series of offers that meet people's needs at different price points and levels of transformation. Level 1. Free value. Your content, lead magnets, and free workshops. This is where people first experience your voice. It fosters reciprocity before you ever ask for anything. Level 2. Entry-level offers. Priced from $9 to $99. Includes a mini course, a workbook, or a template pack. Encourages early buying habits and delivers quick, accessible results. Level 3. Your core signature offer. This is your main event, priced between $100 and $1,500. It can be a coaching program, a group mentorship, or a full course. Here, you deliver a complete transformation. Level 4. Premium and custom offers. VIP intensives, one-on-one consulting, and done-for-you services, priced at $1,500 or more. Fewer clients, but deeper work and higher impact. Price with integrity. Here's the mindset shift that will forever change how you approach pricing. People don't pay for your time, they pay for the results they receive. Cheap doesn't build trust. Clear results do. When you price based on the transformation you provide, not the hours you work, everything shifts. What does your work enable someone to do, become, or feel? How significant is that to them? What would they be willing to pay a year from now if they don't address this issue today? Get the price from that place, then show up with everything you have. You don't need to sell your soul to sell your work. You must understand your audience, recognize your value, and know what you offer and invite others to transformation. Your niche deserves respect, including being paid. Stay relevant, innovate, adapt, and grow. One of the biggest traps niche builders fall into is thinking they can set it and forget it, believing that once their brand is dialed in, their audience will grow automatically. But the digital world is constantly changing. Trends shift, platforms evolve, language changes. What worked 6 months ago might already feel outdated. How do you stay relevant without losing sight of your message? How do you adapt to the times without chasing every shiny new thing? How do you stay recognizable in a sea of constant change? You become rooted. Think of your niche as a tree. Your roots represent your beliefs, values, and transformation promise. The trunk is your core brand message and method. Your branches and leaves symbolize your evolving formats, topics, and delivery methods. Relevance lies in your branches. Authority lies in your roots. You need to care for both. Consistency versus stagnation. Here's the key difference. Consistency isn't about doing the same thing every time. It's about staying true to the same truth across seasons, styles, and formats. Stagnation is refusing to adapt as the world moves forward. Consistency means staying grounded while changing how you present yourself. Not every shift warrants your focus. Most trends are distractions, not guidance. Before you change course, ask yourself 3 questions. Does this trend help me communicate my core message more clearly? Does it align with my values and energy? Can I sustain this change beyond a few weeks? If the answer is no, skip it. Let others chase. Let others exhaust themselves. Your strength lies in discernment. The quarterly edge ritual. The most sustainable niche leaders don't become relevant by accident. They plan for it. Every 90 days, dedicate a full day to stepping back from production and reflecting, not to generate new ideas, but to assess the old ones, to zoom out, to identify what's working, what's failed, and what needs more of your attention. Review your brand pillars. Audit your content and visibility. Assess your offers and revenue. Track your emotional patterns and energy leaks. Then define one bold edge for the next quarter, one direction to amplify your voice and strengthen your presence. Here's what I want you to understand about long-term leadership. Leaders aren't the loudest. They're the most in sync with others. You don't need to post every day. You don't need to imitate what works for someone else. Instead, develop a rhythm of reflection. Create a system that sustains clarity, and gain the wisdom to understand where your edge lies and how to develop it. Because you're no longer just reacting, you're taking charge with strategy, structure, and soul. Lead with legacy. Be the voice others remember. You've put in effort to create something personal, strong, and uniquely yours. People trust your voice. They follow your style. They quote your frameworks. They come to you because your presence feels authentic and effective. But now you're at the point where good is no longer the limit. Where do you want to serve more people without burning out? Where do you want to create something that outlasts your energy, schedule, and current life stage? This is where you stop being the focus of your brand and start serving as its guardian of the future. You're no longer just building a personal brand. You're building a legacy brand. A legacy brand is a business, message, or movement that stands on its own. It extends your ideas beyond your direct presence and amplifies your impact through systems, students, and aligned partners. The first step is to determine what you want to be known for in the long run, not just this year or this platform cycle. 10 years from now, what belief or idea do you want people to associate with your name? What would you want someone to learn from your work, even if you're not present? Protect your intellectual property. When you're the face of your brand, much of your brilliance shows up in conversations, voice notes, client sessions, and the space between your thoughts. However, a legacy brand requires you to document your thinking, package your processes, and make your systems teachable. Your wisdom must be shared externally. Only then can it expand, develop, and be passed on. Start your legacy document today. Document your core beliefs, your fundamental framework, the steps you take with every client, the phrases that express your worldview, and your do's and don'ts for your message. This is how you advance from practitioner to an intellectual founder. Thought leadership. Master your voice in your industry. Authentic thought leadership starts with one question. What change do you want to see in the people or the industry you serve? Thought leaders don't just share information, they move people from belief A to belief B. They challenge assumptions, define frameworks, simplify complex ideas, and dare to say what others are afraid to say. You don't need a book deal or a TED Talk to be considered a thought leader. If you've helped even one person see things differently, you're already leading. Now it's time to lead at scale. Teach your method through workshops and certifications. License your framework so others can build on your ideas. Collaborate with aligned voices to amplify your message. Get on stages, virtual or in person, and speak with clarity and conviction. Let others hear your ideas in places you'll never visit. The world doesn't need more experts. It needs more grounded, generous, visionary leaders. Leaders who refuse to echo what everyone else says, speak from lived experience rather than trendy scripts, and create frameworks that clarify rather than complicate. Leaders who protect their voice by amplifying their values. You are not here to be liked by everyone. You are here to earn respect from the right people. So, share your ideas intentionally. Enter spaces that amplify your visibility. Work with voices that challenge and improve you. Make a mark in your niche that echoes long after you've spoken. This is how you dominate your niche. This is how you build a legacy. This is how your voice becomes a movement. Your legacy starts today. You've reached the end of dominate your niche. But what you've really reached is a starting point. You've learned to find clarity in a noisy world, to build a brand that reflects your truth rather than copying someone else's, to claim a creative identity that can't be duplicated, to create content that not only fills a feed but also fosters a community of trust, to choose platforms strategically, not out of pressure, to monetize with integrity, not desperation, to stay relevant without losing yourself, and to lead with legacy thinking not only about who you are today but who you're becoming. But information without action is merely entertainment. So let me conclude with this. The 30-Day Domination Challenge. Week 1. Define everything. Write your niche statement. Name your content pillars. Audit your bios. Create a simple lead magnet. Write your brand pillars. Get clarity on paper. Week 2. Build and align. Create your style guide. Write your origin story. Choose your primary platform and build your content planning board. Week 3. Show up and deliver. Post consistently at least 3 times per week. Engage with 10 creators in your niche. Host a Q&A. Start building your email list. Week 4. Monetize and lead. Map your offer ladder. Write your soft launch post. Share a transformation story. Publish your manifesto. And on day 30, celebrate. Not because you've arrived, but because you've begun. Before I let you go, I want to talk to the part of you that's still a little afraid. The part that questions whether this is truly possible, especially for you, given your background, limitations, and story. I want that part of you to hear this clearly. You don't need to earn the right to dominate your niche. You don't need permission. You don't have to wait until you have more followers, more experience, or more certainty. You need clarity, commitment, and the courage to stop waiting and start building. Domination isn't about noise. It's all about ownership. The internet will reward your consistency. The market will reward your clarity. But what is your legacy? That is built on courage. Go, own your niche.